Sorry.
Right. Okay. In that case, why don't we begin? Our topic for our audience is whether the hijab should be banned, and PZH with the proposition. I'd like to invite you to give your opening.
Yeah, okay. So just give a quick opening. I'm arguing that hijabs and niqabs, but I guess we'll argue about hijabs today, are signs of oppression in women in certain cultures, and or some women who wear those feel oppressed while wearing them. And as we here in the West, I'm specifically saying UK. When I say that, I specifically mean UK. Mean to reduce harm and reduce oppression in society, that we should ban these hijabs and niqabs from public life. And I can add that those who wear it may not necessarily wear it voluntarily. They may wear it because they are forced to, or under threat of violence from their family or their community. And in addition, they are banned in some countries already, some fully, some partially. Some examples I gave are Tajikistan, France, Belgium, Bulgaria. Turkey had a period where it was banned. Denmark, Netherlands, Switzerland. And that's my opening statement.
Okay, thank you for that, BoredKanack. You can make your opening statement now.
Yeah, just for the record, I had some audio issues, so my opponent's opening statement was not audible on my stream, but yeah, I'll try to fix it afterwards. I hope now everything's fine. If
So
not, please let me know.
can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear. Like from my end, I can hear you guys perfectly, but just on my stream, it wasn't
Okay, so
good.
you did hear his opening?
Yes. No
Okay,
worries.
good.
Okay. So, yeah, as far as I understand it, basically, your argument consists of two parts. The first one being that hijabs are a sign of oppression, and the second one being that we can't distinguish if a woman voluntarily wears the hijab or if she's forced to do so. And therefore, we should, in order to protect a minority, we should ban all use of all wearing of hijabs. Is that correct so far?
More or less.
Can you correct where I'm misrepresenting your argument?
I would say also that women also feel oppressed while wearing it. Or some women do.
Okay, but there will be
this is only the opening. This is only the opening. I think at this point, it would be more helpful for you to sketch out your general position as to why hijab shouldn't be banned, and then we can go into the discussion.
Sure. So first of all, I think he has to argue that I'm pretty sure that he has to argue that it's not only a symbol of oppression, but that it is oppressive in and of itself for it to be banned. Secondly, then we would have to see why it is oppressive, and if banning things that might be oppressive would not have bad implications. I think it would. I think there is a lot of things similar to the hijab that are completely acceptable. We can look at what those might be. Secondly, I think that the whole concept of banning something because we are not sure if the person engaging in a certain behavior is doing so voluntarily is an absurd concept. Like it would make it would have absurd consequences if we would be consistent with that. Like, for example, would it be okay for us to allow people to gift each other money because people can be forced and coerced into doing so? Or same with prostitution. I don't know what his stance is. I mean, that's a little bit more of a contentious stance, but most people are like we know that there is forced prostitution and still in most countries the ones it is legal, and but we can just go by a really simple example like gifting money. Like, how do you know that it's voluntary? We don't go by that when we think about what we should ban or not. So that's the second concept, and yeah, I think that's for now. That's okay.
Okay, so we will move into 45 minutes or so of open discussion. I will try my best to make sure that you both have equal time to be heard and that we stay on topic. So with that in mind, PZH, can you unmute and we can begin?
Yeah, okay. I just like to ask, just so we can see where we are. BoredKanack, do you accept that some women find the hijab oppressive?
Yes.
Okay, so if some women find the hijabs oppressive, should we not as a society try to reduce harm and oppression in it? Or especially that is the consequentialist mantra here in the West.
Yes, if there is suffering, we try to alleviate suffering. Yes.
Okay, well that's kind of my point in this whole debate. You just kind of
But not at all cost. Like we never do it at all cost.
Okay, so
right. Like killing all men would reduce suffering, right?
Right. So I don't think you're making an honest argument here, because it seems like you're taking it to some sort of extreme, like you're just making it sound extreme so that we will nullify the whole debate. But the point itself rests that some women do find it oppressive, and they're not in a position to not wear it because that has consequences in Muslim communities in the West. And in order for everyone to be equal, just like here in the UK, I'll give an example. Here in the UK, we have, for school, all children have to wear a school uniform. Why do they have to wear a school uniform? In the same school uniform. So all kids look the same, so they won't have advantages or disadvantages. Some rich kid will have better clothes. If they didn't have a uniform, will have better clothes than a poor kid, or someone would look different. So in order that everyone would look the same, that everyone would be treated equally, we have school uniform in school for kids. And in that kind of way,
like,
why don't we have in society a way that's fair and removes oppression in this realm of wearing like I don't know if I can say non-standard, but like slightly different types of clothes?
Because we don't deem that it's worth it. Like that's just how all of like
No, I don't agree. I don't agree that's true.
You have to let me answer. That's okay that you don't agree, but do you want me to answer?
You can answer. I don't know.
Please give
Go ahead.
some time to elaborate his point.
Thanks. So the question is at what cost? So we always have ways to alleviate suffering, but the question is at what cost? And usually that cost is human freedom. And we have to make always a strong case in order to be ready to take away certain freedoms. And I just don't think that in this case it is given, because we have a lot of other like why wouldn't, according to that logic, like let's just take the simple logic of we cannot distinguish between women that are wearing the hijab voluntarily and women that are not wearing it voluntarily. Like that's already a big assumption. Like even if I would grant you that, and that's already a big assumption, because usually we should have a society, and usually we do have a society where a lot of women, like most women, are able to find rescue when they're in distress and when they're being forced. And we should go do more about that. But let's say we agree on that, like that we are not able to distinguish that at all. In that case, why wouldn't that be a valid argument to ban a lot of other stuff? Like, why wouldn't that be a valid argument to just say, okay, it's never allowed to give money to someone for no return, basically, nothing, for not getting anything back? Why would it be allowed for you to work like voluntarily at your friend's place? Because we are not sure if you're not a slave, like that is forced to work. Like that logic just doesn't apply in any other area. Like that's not how we create the law. We don't create the law based on what we can distinguish or not.
PZH respond?
I can
Sure.
I can respond. So I don't know I don't know which specific country you are from, but here in the UK, we certainly prioritize the suffering of minorities over the majority of the people. So that is extremely common, I would say. I can give like a generic example. We have something called, in all countries, we have something called taxes, where a minority of the country needs additional help, they're suffering, and the rest of the population, we tax them, but when we tax them, it's an inconvenience to them to alleviate the suffering of the minority. So the majority are become inconvenienced, and the minority has reduced or greatly reduced suffering. We have issues in the West with trans rights. Sorry, not issues, but we discuss trans rights. And trans rights are a very small minority, and they seem to take up a lot of oxygen in most debates here in the West. And again, trans people are a small minority, very small. So these are things that we do in the West. This is not uncommon.
You don't have to find an example of majorities basically suffering for the minority. That's not the example that we're looking at. The example that we're looking at is that we look at an action of an individual in society, and we are not able to distinguish whether this individual is doing so out of their own volition or not. And I'm saying that you have to make a very, very, very strong case, like a 99.999% case, in order for us to treat these two things the same
I really
way.
don't think.
So I
really don't think so. I think this is a completely arbitrary point. I think this is an arbitrary point.
Okay, I have a question. I have a question. Are you in favor of banning prostitution?
I'm not in favor of banning prostitution, but your example before
is
already illegal.
Why not? Okay, in your country, prostitution is illegal. In my country, it's not illegal.
No, but if you were to say, even if prostitution is legal, false prostitution is not.
Yes, exactly. And forcing someone to wear the veil is not legal either. So
you can. It's not. No. It's not. That isn't to the realm of illegal just yet. Like beating someone up if they don't wear it, that's illegal. But like the threat of kicking them, the threat of kicking them out from the community, or a variety of different ways of enforcing someone to particular standards may be legal.
Can you just answer that question? Like, do you?
I did answer the question. I did answer the question.
No, I know. Are you in favor of banning prostitution or not?
I said
should
not.
It be illegal or not?
It should be legal.
Okay, you're not in favor of it should be legal,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Okay, but you acknowledge that there is women that are being forced into prostitution, right?
I'd say that's illegal. There are ways, and there should be ways of protecting women from that. Do we currently have ways?
Why does it matter? Why does it matter? Like, why does it matter through which means someone is being forced? Like, someone could be forced, like through, like it doesn't matter what the means of forcing someone to do something is. Like, we are not able to distinguish in many cases. We are not able to distinguish between a woman being a prostitute out of her own volition and her doing so because she's forced to do so.
We can't, but there are but we want mechanisms to protect women from these things, and exactly. The government can do that.
And we would want the same thing for the veil as well. But so your inability to distingush the intentions for an action.
Okay, I'm interested.
The reason for
I'm interested.
Cannot be the reason for.
I'm interested in.
The reason for
making
it illegal. Like,
I'm interested in your argument. To what degree do you want the police to be involved in the Muslim community to prevent women who are not 99% sure they want to wear the veil, they want to take it off, and the community will not, try to change her mind, try to force her, punish her in some sort of way? To what degree do you want the police to intervene in the Muslim community to prevent that? I'm interested in your answer.
I mean, we can talk. We can really talk about that. That would be a great.
No, I want to know. You. This is your. No, this is your point. This is your. No, wait. This is your point. This is your point.
I need to speak, please.
This is your point. I'd like you to answer it.
But it is besides the point.
It is not beside the point. You raised it.
Like, what's the reason for you asking?
I really need you to answer.
Like, there is no reason. It has basically nothing to do with what we're talking about right now.
To what degree do you want the police to intervene in the Muslim community so that you and I can be sure that girls who do not want to wear the veil do not have to and do not suffer any repercussion. This is your point. So you make the claim for it.
I could just say it doesn't matter at all. Like what
That's
would
being
it
dishonest.
change if I would say
That's being
I don't want
dishonest.
anything to change? Like I don't want the police to intervene in any way. Like obviously, like I want the.
Why don't you want the police to intervene to make? Why don't you want the police to intervene to make sure
change
that
anything in the argument? Like you have a problem, bro. You have a problem. Your problem is that you cannot make something illegal because you're not sure about the intention of the person while she's doing the act.
We both agreed.
You're not able to do that.
We both agreed that some women find it oppressive, and you just raised the point that we should prevent it and not ban it completely. So I'm asking you, make the case to prevent it.
But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You're being dishonest.
You cannot
being dishonest.
ban something based on the intentions that you presume behind an action.
Right. You
cannot ban something.
Moderator, where are we going from here?
Well, the topic is whether the hijab should be banned, unless you think that his own reasoning would compel him to cross the floor and switch sides. It's probably better to maybe try and attack it from another angle. We're not getting anywhere here, and we're certainly not getting anywhere when we're interrupting each other 5 words into a sentence.
Okay, I need to understand. He's raising the point that we should not ban it, but we should prevent it through law enforcement. Should he not answer that question?
But I already said that. Like that's already the answer. Like I want law enforcement to prevent women from being forced to wear the veil. Obviously, like that's such a.
Can you explain how would that happen?
Talking about that.
How would that happen?
I like how police would do their work in any other crime case. Like that's
they'll have to intervene in those communities quite heavily. No.
Yeah, then let them do that. But like, what do you think I'm going to answer to that? Like, I don't even know why you're so curious about that. It makes no sense to talk about it, anyways.
It makes a lot of sense.
Like, what are you going to do with that information now?
Well, I just want to know to what extent you're happy. I'm repeating myself 5 times, and you're evading my question.
You see, you have no answer.
Can you just answer my? I have a question. You have no answer.
You just try to run away. I answered you. I said the police should do whatever they can to prevent it.
Okay, so if it's heavy involvement in the Muslim community, knocking on doors randomly, asking girls question. In the house, are you okay? Are you being forced? Just like randomly interfering in mosques and going on. Is that something that's okay with you? Because I don't think it is.
Bro. Police should not like you completely switching
Is that a yes?
Topic.
Is that a yes?
What is what a yes?
What I said.
Moderator, do you see how he's trying to run away from that?
Can it finish a sentence?
Like it's crazy.
He's not answering though.
If you're not happy with his answer, you can ask him to repeat it or narrow it down.
I'll do that
after he finishes his sentence.
Okay, I'll do that.
Like your question has no relevance to the point whatsoever. I already told you I want women that are being forced to wear it to get all the help that they need. I think that should be enough.
Can you specify?
I don't think we have to talk about something else.
Can you specify, please?
Why? Like we're not talking about that. We're talking about should hijabs be banned or not.
Okay, but I need to understand.
How we should help women who are being forced to wear the hijab. How we should help them. That's not the topic of the debate.
Well,
like you're just trying to run away from the debate. That's all you do.
I'm only asking you to. I'm not running away from the debate. I'm asking you to specify what you mean.
Why? It has no relevance.
Can you give me an example of what you mean?
Like, why should I, like, moderator, please? Like, this makes no sense. Like, why would I?
I am going to have to keep us on topic. The topic is not, does BoredKanack have a good idea of police involvement in the Muslim community?
Thank you.
It's the case for banning the hijab, which would seem, at least on its surface, to be a stronger form of intervention. If we could maybe attack the idea of the hijab or why it's wrong or why we should ban it as opposed to something else from a different angle, maybe we could move the conversation forward.
But I
Okay.
think he should be
Can
forced to
BCH
answer
be
the
allowed? Can
question.
BCH have some time to articulate a different angle on this, if they
Sure,
would?
sure. But he ran away from the question why gifting money or working for free should be legal when we could also interpret that as somebody being robbed or somebody working as a slave, basically. Like working
Moderator,
BCH,
did I run away from
respond to
any
that, or do
question?
you
Or
want to move on?
moderator, did I run away from any question?
that question.
I don't think that question was really interrogated at all. I think it would be premature to say that anybody ran away from anything. But if we'd like to make that the next sub-argument,
No,
if
I'd like to.
PCH
I'd like to keep on the hijab if that's okay. So, with regards to the hijab, the reason, would you say that the reason to wear it is modesty?
If the reason, I think no, I think it's a mix of culture, and I think behind that there is an aspect of modesty, definitely.
Okay. And so you
Just like-
answer my question if it's a mix of culture. Is this a cultural reason to wear it or a religious reason to wear it?
I mean, it's just like wearing a bra. Like there is literally like no for most women there is literally no health benefit of wearing a bra, right? There is a cultural aspect to it, and there is also an aspect of modesty to it. Like I think that the bra and the hijab are basically exactly the same in that regard. Like for the reason why people wear it, it's a mix of culture and modesty.
Okay, so why do you think women find it oppressive?
Do you mean women that wear it or women?
A woman who would rather not
don't
wear
wear
it
it?
but finds herself either forced through she's been wearing it since she was 6 years old and her family encouraged her to wear it, and if she doesn't wear it, then she'll suffer either physical violence from her family, from a community, from the authorities, depending which country you're in.
Because of, I think, like one is the lack of autonomy there, and
Okay.
the other is an asymmetry between men and women.
Okay, I appreciate you answering that question in that way. Do you say that women? Would you say that in Western countries, if women who wear the hijab wear it for modesty, does that necessarily mean that women who don't wear it are not modest?
They're more okay with showing something, like they're more okay with showing something of them. Yes.
Okay,
like
so
they're more okay. And if you want to consider it, like if to you modesty is the less you show of yourself, the more modest you are, which to me is not the case. Like I don't think that way. I think there is a correlation there, but it's not like a one-to-one. But in general, I would say, for my understanding of modesty, I would say probably not a one-to-one correlation, but I could see how one would interpret it that way, yes.
Okay, and could women remain modest through other means instead of wearing the hijab?
Bro, I don't know where you're getting at.
Could women wear
I mean,
different...
I can answer these questions. It's
Could
really
women...
no problem to answer
I'll
these questions.
rephrase. Could women remain looking modest while still not wearing the hijab, either through long clothes or a hat or something like that?
When you understand modesty to be like not showing parts of your body, then yes. Like, can you define modesty to me? Like, it's a very...
I don't think we can define modesty in this particular...
because I think
and again, it depends on the woman and how she views it. But if we were to say the hijab is banned and that woman will still like to remain modest,
you're asking me a question.
I'm rephrasing.
You're asking me a question using a word, and you're not ready to give me the definition of the word inside the question that you're asking me.
So I think it depends. The answer to your question is that it depends.
Like, then why are you asking me? Like you don't even know the definition
so
of the word that you're using. But you already know the answer, which is nothing. Which is
my definition
depends.
is
like that.
My definition is that it depends on how the woman herself considers modesty to be and how she would like to dress accordingly to that. So if a woman, we tell her you can't wear the hijab.
What is modesty to you?
Modesty to me is
I don't even know why we're talking about this, but
I'm,
let's just, I don't
it's
know,
just,
like,
I don't know what the confusion. Let's just stick for a second here. Let's say we say you can't wear the hijab, but the purpose of the hijab was to be modest. Can there be other ways of being modest without wearing the hijab, like wearing a hat, for example? Is that not clear? Am I mixing things up? That's all I'm
you're
saying.
asking if we could, you're asking if we could substitute the hijab with something else
Yes.
instead.
Yes.
That's what you're asking.
While remaining modest.
I don't think we can under the definition of modesty of the women that are voluntarily wearing it.
Why not?
Because it is about like as long as it, like, mainly it is about covering your hair. And that's why I said that's the part that is about modesty to a certain extent. But then culturally, it has already been like defined as what it should be, like that it should be a piece of clothing that has a certain shape and form. And so the cultural, traditional, religious aspect of it requires it to have that shape, right? And then the practical, also cultural aspect requires it to cover all hair. Basically, it depends also. Like when you look at Iran, there is different, obviously different shapes of it, but overall, like you can't just replace it with a hat. Like,
well, see,
that would not
you can't.
give you the same.
I disagree. But since you've raised Iran, do you think most women in Iran want to wear a headscarf?
I don't know the statistics, but I know that a lot of women there don't want to wear the hijab.
Okay, but they are
Bro,
forced.
I have no idea.
But they are forced to under the law, right?
But they are forced to
under the law, right?
Yes, I
right.
think so.
And if they were not forced under the law, or maybe, before 1979, we can argue that the majority did not wear headscarves.
Bro, where are you going with this? Like, I don't know where you're going with this. Like,
well,
I'm just
showing an example. I'm just showing an example.
Yes.
I'm just showing an example.
Women are being forced to wear the hijab, and that is bad.
Okay. I'm just showing an example.
Okay, but that's not the thing that you should be arguing for.
Your job
is to argue that hijab should be banned. That's what you should be arguing for.
Okay.
And not asking me random questions.
I'm just showing an example where a country with 80 million people, the majority of women would rather not wear hijabs, and they are forced to wear hijabs. But that
is not a topic of our debate.
Well, it strengthens my case.
How does it strengthen you?
I'm going to step in. I'd like us to stay on the topic of banning the hijab in for instance, the US or the UK or wherever. It's talking about countries where it is compulsory does not really seem to be on topic.
Okay, well, I can.
Thank you.
If it's okay in Tajikistan to ban hijabs, and it's a country with over 90% Sunni Muslims, why can't we do it in the UK?
Bro, is that a serious question?
Yes.
Like, if a law in Tajikistan is okay, then it is okay in the UK as well?
Well, I'm saying...
Is that your argument?
Tajikistan is a country, it's a vastly majority Muslim country.
So,
and they agree, and they don't have any issues.
That's why...
Let me finish my... You asked me a question, I'm not able to answer.
Finish his sentence.
Sure.
It's over 90% Sunni Muslim, plus after that 90% some other variety of Muslims. It's almost like close to 100%. I'm not exactly sure, but close to 100%.
So,
and they're perfectly fine with outright banning of the hijab. So why can't we have that why should it be an issue in the UK?
I don't think it's perfectly fine. Like, that's what you should be that's what we are arguing about. Like, no matter if they're happy about it or not, or no matter what they're doing in Tajikistan or wherever, that doesn't matter. Like, the thing that we are arguing about that I think it is morally wrong and it is absurd to ban the hijab. That's my position.
Okay,
right?
Why do you think it's more? Why do you think that it's morally wrong?
Your position is that.
Why do you think it's morally wrong?
Your position is that it is correct, and therefore you have to argue in favor of why you should ban it. I don't have to argue why it should not be banned. Like, you have to argue why it should be banned. And then I can point out where you run into problems. But I don't have to show you why. Like, it's a freedom. Like, you have to show us why it's worth taking away the freedom. And you can't just say, yeah, Tajikistan did it. And they're totally fine. Like, that's ridiculous.
That's not ridiculous.
Okay.
I'm trying to get a consequentialist positive outcome here. And here we have a country that implemented the law, something that I advocate for, and the result would be very positive.
Okay, then sure, let's do it.
And
Bro,
you said that's okay. That's one. You said that banning something for a majority of people just to help a minority is ridiculous, but we do it all the time in the UK.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm stating a simple thing. Just you have an action, okay? The action in this case, in our debate case, is wearing the hijab. That's the action, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then you are saying we are not able to distinguish whether this action has been done voluntarily or she has been forced to do it, okay? And I'm telling you, that's why we should ban all cases of it, because we cannot distinguish.
No,
and then
I'm not saying
this logic.
That's not what I'm saying, though.
Is ridiculous. Like I'm pretty sure you've said so in your. I can read your statement. Like,
well, let me say
your debate statement.
Let me say what.
Let me just tell you why it's ridiculous first, and then you can say
sure.
it. Okay. And this is ridiculous because there is plenty of other examples where we are objectively not able to tell whether someone is doing something voluntarily or is forced to do so, and we would never think about banning it outright. So I can give you one example. Would be like in my country, at least, like in most Western countries, I think prostitution is legal, and I don't know what you think about it. You also think it should be legal. So prostitution is a case where a lot of women are being forced into prostituting themselves, and we are mostly we are having a hard time of finding out whether they're actually forced to do it or if they do it voluntarily. Still, no one would say let's ban prostitution because of that. That's now you can tell me why you didn't say that, but you would have to admit that you retracted your initial debate statement.
My argument is that some women who wear the hijab, or I can even say maybe in the case of Iran, most women that wear the hijab are oppressed while wearing it. The wearing the hijab is a form of oppression to them. They see it as oppressive. They see themselves once they're wearing it, they're submitting to the fact they're second-class citizen. I'm just referring to people in Iran right now. They see it as second-class citizens, and that men are more important to them. I can give an example where if in a room in Iran where there's 100 women, like a private room, 100 women, although none of them are wearing a headscarf, if a man enters the room, every one of them has to then put a headscarf on, as if like the presence of a man like changes everything in the room. So I would say that that form of oppression, that form of second-class citizenry, is definitely something we should not have in the West. And in order to prevent it, even though you can say it's a minority of people in the country overall, it is still worthwhile banning it to protect that minority. It's worthwhile inconveniencing a number of people to dress modestly in a different way, which I think is possible, versus in order to protect a minority from being oppressed and being treated as second-class citizens.
I think that's fairly clear if you want to respond.
Did I lose him?
I'm so sorry. My mic was muted. Sorry. So I think your debate statement in like the challenge was pretty clear. So you said, well, it may be the case that some people choose to wear it. We cannot tell who is wearing it voluntarily and who is forced to wear it at the threat of violence in order to reduce harm in society. So that's your main argument. But you can retract from that argument. That is totally fine, which you have done now, basically. You have
Moderator, what's going
argument.
on? I literally just made a statement that I enhanced it,
how
and I just is saying that
is
saying what I just said is different, or like trying to change what I said. I just said what I said.
Yeah. I don't see how anything that PCH has said so far could be said to be retracting from the argument.
Wait, but I can explain it to you if you want. So he said before that the reason for banning it is because we cannot differentiate who is doing it voluntarily and who is doing it out of pressure and force. Okay, that was the argument that was being named in the debate, okay? And now I have basically shown in multiple examples how that would be absurd to apply this logic of not being able to to differentiate the intention of an action, like how that would get you absurd results in other areas. And now basically what he's saying is that it's a majority minority thing where we know that there is like a minority that is suffering, and therefore we disallow it for the whole
Actually,
majority. Do you see the difference there, moderator?
I said the opposite. I said
So the topic is, should hijabs be banned? Full stop. He can obviously give a flavor of his argument in his challenge post if he wants, but the title of the debate was not should hijabs be banned for X, Y, Z reason.
No. I know. I just want to make sure that this part of the argument is dead now. Like, I just want to make sure that this idea of we have to ban something because we cannot distinguish from the outside what the intention is, that this argument is dead. Like, let's not talk about it anymore. Let's now focus on the new arguments that he's bringing up. That's just the only thing that I want to do. I'm
saying that this is a form of oppressing women. If you're saying that to prevent the you seem like changing the. I'm not sure if you're like just trying to handle it in a different way. Okay, go ahead.
I want to talk about that. I'm just saying, let's not go back there again, because that topic is dead. Like, that first argument he made is dead. So now we can go on to the next topic, that it is oppressive. Like, and I would love to hear your opinions on your arguments on
I just gave
what
you.
makes it oppressive. And okay, so the idea of I think the way I understood you is that it is oppressive because there is an asymmetry between men and women, right? Like, you wouldn't say that if for example, men would also have to wear the hijab in Muslim countries, right?
Yes, men do not need to wear any.
I know that, but you wouldn't say that you wouldn't say that it is oppressive if men would have to wear it as well, right? Like, if everyone would have to wear it, like, for example,
I suppose, but to some degree, even in that case, like, both men and women can choose to wear what they would want to wear.
No, but you're saying it is oppressive in general. Like, the way I understand
you yourself
that
said.
Wait. Let me finish. The way I understand that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. The way I understand that, you mean that it is inherently oppressive, also if people wear it out of their own volition.
You yourself said that it reduces.
Can you answer that question?
Yeah, I'm answering the question. You yourself said that it reduces autonomy.
No, forcing someone, in the case of forcing someone to wear the hijab, that reduces autonomy, yes.
Okay, but isn't it the case that it reduces autonomy to not let someone wear what they want?
Yes, forcing someone reduces the autonomy, yes.
Right.
But
okay.
I'm not in favor of
so I'm
forcing
saying
someone to wear the hijab.
I'm agreeing. So I'm agreeing.
The hijab is inherently bad, like, also without force.
I'm agreeing.
Like, it is inherently oppressive.
So it's inherently oppressive because it creates a second-class citizenry of one type, and not the other.
That's what you're saying.
That's one.
And second class would mean that there is an asymmetry. That if men wear it, there is no second class, right? If like everyone would wear it, then there is no problem.
I'm agreeing with the asymmetry, but I'm really struggling to get out a sentence, and we can just let me finish and we can continue. And that is, if you can't let people choose to wear what they want, that is also a form of oppression. And in the case
that's not the topic that we're talking about. We're now talking about veils being inherently oppressive. That's what you're trying to defend, because I already agree that forcing someone to wear hijab is not good. But then why are you talking about forcing? Like, we're now talking about voluntary wearing of hijab.
I'm not talking about voluntary. I'm not talking about voluntary at all in my.
But forcing someone to wear shoes is oppressive. Like, forcing someone to wear socks is oppressive. Like, right? So why would we even talk about that?
We don't force
the thing that we're interested in.
We don't force people. We don't force people to wear. We don't force people to wear socks and shoes, unless I missed something. But we are forcing women to wear veils to remain modest.
Bro, you are saying hijabs are oppressive, right? That's your statement.
Can I just write it on a whiteboard? You seem to be missing everything I say. It's incredible. I'm saying two things. One, it creates a second-class citizen. That's oppressive. The other, if the woman wanted to wear anything else, and she's not allowed to, that is a form of oppression.
Wasn't your thesis that the hijab is oppressive?
What are we
Did I
arguing?
miss it,
What are we
moderator?
arguing over? Yes, I just said
Moderator,
that.
did
I
I
just
miss
said that.
Did
I just
miss
said that. I just said that.
Can you let the moderator answer? I would like to hear it from the moderator.
Just said it. So
what did he just say? What did he just say? What did he just
Repeat.
say? Like,
why don't you steal?
What's the thing that we're talking about?
Why don't you
right
steal
now?
man my position then?
But I just told you.
Repeat to me. Repeat to me what I said.
You just said a bunch of stuff, but the original point that you were making, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, but in my opinion, the original point that you're making after your first point was that you said that hijabs are oppressive against women. And then I asked you if that's because there is an asymmetry, right? And then you said not exclusively. And then you started to say some bunch of other stuff.
So it's two things. It's two things. It's the second class citizenry. That's one. And the second one is because they don't have autonomy over themselves over what they choose to wear. That's oppressive.
Okay, this is your 10-minute warning for the open discussion. This is your 10-minute warning.
Okay.
No way. Like, we haven't said anything. Like, we haven't even discussed anything. I mean,
it's been 35 minutes, so this is the 10-minute warning.
Okay, we've talked too much about Tajikistan. Okay, so the thing is that you already, like, when you say second-class citizenship, when you say second-class citizen, that already implies an asymmetry, right?
Yes,
so
I agree.
You would not have a problem. Okay, thank you. That's what I'm getting at. And I'm telling you that there's other things that are asymmetrical about men and women that just determine the way we are dressing. For example, the
from
bra.
law, not from a legal point of view, though.
Exactly. And I'm totally fine with the bra, for example. Like, the bra
what the fuck is the connection to the bra? What is the connection at all? What's the connection?
Do you want me to explain it to you?
What's the you realize in Iran there is the concept that women are second-class citizens.
Stop talking
legally.
about Iran. Stop talking about Iran
Why?
or Tajikistan or whatever country. Because we are asking the question, if in a country like the UK or Germany or whatever other Western country where it's not banned, if we should ban hijabs. That's the question that we're asking here.
But don't these communities
debating? Stop talking about Tajikistan.
Shut up for a second.
Iran
Shut up for a second.
It doesn't matter.
Shut up for a second. But don't these communities in Germany, in France, in England, go to their local mosque to ask them how to resolve marital issues in the case of Sharia law? And in those scenarios, they are treated as second-class citizens as per Sharia.
I haven't thought about that. You got me. Okay, do you want me to give you the connection to the bra?
I can't imagine. Go ahead.
Okay, so the bra is something that is being worn specifically just because of cultural reasons and just because of reasons of modesty.
No.
Can you let me finish? There is no reason medicinal reason for 90% of women to wear a bra.
Yes, there is.
And you can see that, like, none of my, you can research this.
I already have an answer. Yes, there is.
None of my girlfriends have ever worn a bra at home. Like, when they're only wearing it when they're going outside, and it is only and similarly, Western societies have a double standards in regards to showing nipples in public. There is definitely a double standard. Like, you can't just show your boobs outside, even if you're allowed by law. Culturally and societally, you will be judged for showing your boobs in public. And also, women feel very uncomfortable showing their boobs in Western societies, where men have no problem at all showing their nipples. And I think that the similar thing is going on in Middle Eastern societies or other societies where women don't feel comfortable showing their hair because it is considered as something that is sexually arousing for men. That makes them basically not want to do that.
Wow. Okay. Well, firstly, I'm going to debunk the nonsense you just said. So there is practical reasons to wear bras. Even from the limited knowledge that I know, some women who have breasts and they want to prevent their breasts from sagging, they wear bras. There are women who wear bras to bed for that reason. Nipples in Western culture, I haven't heard that that is an issue, and I know that bras don't necessarily stop that. Depends what kind of bra you wear, but not all bras even stop nipples from showing. For that is a fact. Now, with regards to showing hair's modesty, I really would like to nail this point down, and this is very relevant to my topic. If there is an argument from people from Eastern cultures coming to the West saying that women should wear hijab to be modest, that necessarily means that those men from Eastern cultures view Western women as sluts and immodest.
That is besides the point, and
that
no
is,
one,
and,
no
and,
one,
and
that's totally
to
besides
ban
the point.
and to ban
Doesn't even
hijab
matter. That's
and
just,
to
that's
ban
just random shit that
and
you're saying.
Okay,
to
can we
ban
not
hijabs
talk over each other?
and to ban, and if we ban hijabs, we solve both of these problems. Not only do we protect the
Sorry,
oppression,
moderator.
not
Yeah.
only do we protect from the oppression of women who choose not to wear it, which we can see from countries where they're forced to, that is the majority of people in those countries, but people who would be treated badly by Eastern men because they're used to women wearing modest clothes like the hijabs, they will treat them better. Because everyone looks the same, which is what we want which is what we want in the West. Sameness, fairness, neutrality.
Bro, not even if I would grant you that there would be a positive outcome of banning hijabs, like even if there would be some positive outcomes that would come, even if I would grant you that, I think it was total nonsense what you just said, but even if I
Well,
would,
I can prove that it's not.
like, no,
I can prove that it's
let me
not.
finish? Can you let me finish?
You
Yes,
cast
gave me
dispersions.
a while, so please let BoredKanack finish his point.
Even if I would grant you that, like, we don't do that at all costs. As I've said, like, men commit like 90% of crime. Like, then we should just lock up all men, like, so we don't have any crime. Like, that's not the way we think about like the things that we're banning, right?
But it is
like,
it is
that's
true.
not what we do.
It is true that men from Eastern cultures commit more sexual assaults in the West.
What is the connection to what we're talking about?
This
right
is
now?
exactly
Like,
this
you're
is the
not- you're not
connection.
saying anything that
This
has
is
any
it.
point with that.
This is it. This is the
What's the
connection
connection?
that they
What's-
view Western
Tell
women.
me in how far you just.
This is the
contributed to
connection.
topic.
They view Western women, because they don't wear the hijab, they view Western women as sluts. They've said that with
So
they've said that themselves.
You're saying that a woman is more likely to be sexually assaulted when she's not wearing a hijab?
I'm
Is that what
saying
you're
men from Eastern cultures that come to the West because they're used to women in their countries dressing modestly. When they come to
Yes.
the West, they see women not dressing modestly by their
So
standards,
that's what
and
you're
they
saying.
treat them
So
as sluts.
you're basically saying that women that are not wearing hijabs, that's why they get sexually assaulted, right?
No,
That's what you're saying.
that would be lying through your teeth if you said if you think that's
No,
what I said.
what was your point then? What was your point then?
Third time, men who come from Eastern cultures into the West. Yeah, did you get that part? Did you write it down? Men,
I'm not asking you to
immigrant
repeat it.
men,
I'm asking you to
immigrant
make the
men
relevance,
that-
like to make
I'm
the point
I'm
that it is
explaining.
relevant.
I'm explaining to you for the third time. Immigrant men that come from the East into the West, and they're used to women wear hijab and being modest. They see the Western women who do not wear hijabs, and it's not in their culture to wear hijabs. They see them as sluts. In the UK, we've had rampant number of Muslim rape gangs, and they asked, why do you treat British women the way they do? They have said, because they're not good girls, they're not modest girls like Muslim girls. They are sluts, and they treat them like sluts because of that. That is part
So
of the
you
reason
think-
why we have. I haven't finished. That is part of the reason why we have these societal issues, and banning the hijab would resolve the society of issues for almost all women, both Muslim and non-Muslim.
So first of all, it is.
I think I've made
widely
a strong case
accepted-
now. You're going to find it
Can-
very
can you
difficult to
please be
debunk me.
silent?
3-minute warning, and please let him speak.
First of all, it is completely common sense. Like everybody knows by now that clothing and sexual assault are not correlated. Like that's I think that's pretty obvious. But let's say it were. Let's say it was. Okay. Let's say it was. Let's say you're right. That still doesn't, like, you can always find stuff like positive outcomes from banning shit. Like that's not the way we operate when we are banning stuff. Again, it's the same argument. You can find crimes that would not be committed just because you're banning something, okay? But that doesn't make it directly okay for you to ban it. That's not a sufficient reason to ban it.
Okay,
Like,
give me
as
the
I've said,
give me the
with
negatives.
The infringement, like
Make the point.
the
Okay, wait.
infringement.
we don't have a lot of time.
The
We don't have a lot of
infringement-
time.
The infringement.
And you're not
Shut up.
helping by interrupting
Yeah.
him to have
Yeah.
a lot of time.
The infringement on personal freedoms we deem is very high in a lot of respects. Like we could just be like
No.
transparent citizens where we give all our data to the government and we would reduce crime by a lot. Like that's just a fact. Like we could just let the government inside our phones and we would reduce like probably like a huge amount of crime. But we don't do that because we deem personal freedoms extremely, like we think that is extremely valuable. And therefore, that is not an argument to you finding some positive outcomes from banning the hijab is not a good argument for banning the hijab.
Great.
You have to find something that is inherently wrong with the hijab.
Are you done?
In order to make a case against the hijab.
Are you done?
Now I am done.
Okay, great.
Now
Okay.
I'm done.
Right. So just 1 second.
I will give you the chance to I will give you the chance to respond, and then we are closing and we're moving into closing statements. So PZH, please respond, and this will end the open discussion.
Okay, so here in the UK, and I think in Europe in general, we do not value freedom over the rights of minorities in any way at all. I can give an example that we put people in prison for 2 to 3 years for them saying mean stuff on Facebook to minorities. So we do not have freedom of speech. We do not have a lot of freedoms here. In the West, when it comes to issues of equality whatsoever. Now, if you're making the claim that banning it will cause negative side effects, and I've listed a list of countries that have banned it, you have not shown me anything that since they have banned the hijab in these countries, a wave of negative things have happened. Whereas I am showing you that I'm in a very strong case, that a wave of positive things can happen. That was it.
Okay, so on note, I think it's time to move into closing statements. Traditionally, we would reverse the order. So BoredKanack would go first and PZH would have the final word as the proposer. So again, there's to be no interruptions, and you're just essentially giving a monologue for your side of the argument or what you felt you heard or didn't hear from the other side of the argument. So BoredKanack, when you're ready, please start your closing statement.
Yes. Okay, so already the first argument went into the toilet that we cannot differentiate between the intentions of, so we cannot differentiate between women wearing it voluntarily and women wearing it because they're forced. Therefore, we should ban it. That's an absurd statement. We have counterexamples where we don't ban things because we're not able to distinguish the intention of the act. So that's already out of the window. Then he should have actually, what he should have done is that he should have shown that the hijab is inherently oppressive, no matter if the woman wears it voluntarily or not. He could have made the case that it is not possible to consent in a climate of cultural enforcement by culture, but then the argument would have been that we should work on that instead of banning the hijab, because it is not necessary to ban the hijab. We could just work on making these communities more liberal, let's say it like that. Then the second argument he could have made is that basically there is an asymmetry between man and woman, and that's a problem. But I think that's the case for many other things as well. Like I've mentioned the bra. There is a huge asymmetry in showing boobs for men and women. And we might not like it. We would never force women to show their boobs. Like, that would be absurd. And I can just give like a last example. I think this is more of a cultural thing than a religious thing. Like, imagine that you are fleeing from your country because of war, and you're going into like a tropic jungle, and everyone is naked, but you are still like having your inhibitions where you don't want to like show your genitals, and you don't want your kids to show their genitals and your wife to show her genitals, but the people there are walking around all naked, and they basically force you to take off your clothes. And I think like we can all see how that's kind of problematic. And I think like personal liberties are really high good, and especially in the West. And I don't think we should compare our countries to countries like Tajikistan, where personal freedoms are basically worth nothing.
Okay, that was 4 minutes. So PZH, you will have the same time to conclude.
Yeah, okay. I'm not exactly sure what was a dead argument or not. I don't exactly think that BoredKanack understood what I was saying. I've made the consequentialist argument that banning hijabs will remove oppression from society, even though that we are inconveniencing other people who would wear it voluntarily. But we do those things. We certainly are doing those things in the West. I've made the strong case that women who are oppressed while wearing the hijab, and I compared them to the case in Iran. I've made the case that, as a counterpoint to what BoredKanack was saying, we do have countries that have banned it, not just Tajikistan, but also France has banned it in schools and public offices. I haven't seen like widespread issues of freedoms that we don't necessarily have in Europe that much when it comes to these issues. So I'm not exactly sure what the claim is. I would say that not only does it reduce the oppression that women in these communities feel as second-class citizens, as oppressed by their families in the communities, but also we remove the issues of men in these communities that see other women outside these communities as women who can be sexually assaulted because they are not wearing modest clothes, and it's okay to treat them in a particular way. That's my point.
Okay, so on that note, on that note, we finish with our debate. I would like to thank both of our speakers here for turning up, and I would encourage anyone who wants to post a challenge themselves or to comment on any of the challenges that we see at the moment to try to set up a debate. So thank you both for being here. Thanks for a reasonably large audience being here as well. And with that, we will be closing. So thanks again, and hope to see at least some of you again in the future.